So my name is Scott. My first name's Timothy. I go by Scott. and I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. I was born in 1969, and that's important to my story because of Jehovah's Witness history. But I'm third generation on my mom's side, raised as a Jehovah's Witness. So my mom was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. Her mom was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and her mom was Alida, and Alida, my grandma Alida, was her mom became a Jehovah's Witness, and so on. That's on my mom's side. On my dad's side, my grandmother, his mom, became a Jehovah's Witness in the 50s, and my dad, actually, it might have been, it was in the 50s, and then my dad was baptized at the age of 12, and he's 76 right now. He's about 76, so he was baptized at the age of 12, so young baptisms, even all the way back then, and then he and my mom met and married and had 4 children. I'm the oldest, and then I've got a sister, Jennifer, who's about a year and about 19 months younger than me, and then a sister, Priscilla, who's about 10 years younger than me, and then a brother who's 16 years younger than me. And we're all raised as Jehovah's Witnesses. And so in 1969, the organization, the Watchtower organization, was doing Bible chronology, and they came up with the idea that 6,000 years since Adam's creation would end in October of 1975. So the saying got around, "Stay alive to 75." That was supposed to wrap everything up. Armageddon was supposed to take place, and that was going to be the Great Tribulation was going to break out. The Great Tribulation wasn't a big deal, as big a deal then as it is now in Jehovah's Witness eschatology. Back then it was more about Armageddon. So Armageddon was the focus of the eschatological culmination of everything. Later, the Great Tribulation is what becomes the focus. And in Jehovah's Witness eschatology, the Great Tribulation spans through the Armageddon. The War of Armageddon. Armageddon is what makes the tribulation so great, the likes of which has never occurred before. It's a worldwide war between God, Jesus as God's king of his kingdom, the angels, and the anointed sons of God who rule along with Jesus Christ, and against the nations on earth, and Satan and his demons were supporting his misrule over the earth and misleading of mankind. So it's a worldwide situation. So Armageddon for Jehovah's Witnesses isn't an event in Megiddo. There's no mountain there. Everybody knows that. And so there is no Har, mountain of Megiddo, but rather it's a worldwide situation that the world finds itself in, a culmination of events that leads all the nations together in opposition to God's kingdom as represented by Jehovah's Witnesses on earth. So that's what Armageddon is, as defined by Jehovah's Witness theology, eschatology. But so I was born in this era of stay alive to 75, and some of the things that I was told that I used to say was when I'd see a cross on a church, Babylon the Great's going to fall, right? So as a toddler, as a young kid, barely able to speak, 3-4 years old, Babylon's going to fall, and so that's what I remember being told about my youth. So this idea of the destruction of false religion of Babylon So this idea of the destruction of Babylon the Great, which is all in Jehovah's Witness theology, is all of false religion, but primarily it's focused in on Christian religion as the leading malefactors. The Christianity has, according to Jehovah's Witness theology, has Babylonish teachings, the immortality of the soul, a triune God, ideas of hellfire, and then in Jehovah's Witness theology and doctrine, celebration of Christmas has pagan roots, and Easter and the celebration of birthdays has practices connected with false teachings, like the round cakes and the blowing out of the candle and the ascension of the smoke and your wish to your patron god. So all of these things have Babylonish teaching. So within Christendom or Christianity, in Jehovah's Witness theology, they have this paganism, and so are Babylonish in their teachings. And so Babylon is going to fall, and so you've got this idea of Revelation 18:4, where that angel calls out that Babylon the Great has fallen, and so this is what was inculcated into my mind, evidently, and to my thinking from my youth up. In 1975, I was 6 years old, and of course nothing happened in 1975, and so this was a great embarrassment to the organization, which they later apologized for in a left-handed way, and apologizing for building up too much undue expectation, and kind of blamed it on the members as well, the rank and file. But really, this was coming from the headquarters. A friend of mine, Floyd Kite, who was a former district overseer and circuit overseer, I became friends with him. He gave a talk, the dedication talk to our Kingdom Hall in the mid-'90s. And so I met him that way, and then I called him up. The internet was new, and you could find people on the internet, and I searched his name, found his phone number, and cold called him and introduced myself. And because I was just by that time I was so wrapped up into prophecy that it was, I was just becoming a fanatic about it. And I cold called him and met him, and we became friends, and he was good for me. He was a very good friend. He died in 2017, and so he had a talk that was called "The Great Earthquake," and so he was quite the prophet of the time. A fascinating man and historian of the Watchtower organization, and had connections with the members of the governing body. Brother Hurd, he had served Brother Hurd when he was a circuit overseer, and then Brother Hurd became his boss when he became a member of the governing body. But Floyd said that if you didn't believe that 1975 was it, then you weren't paying attention to what the governing body had to say, and so many would say, hey, we never believed 1975 was going to be it. Well, they weren't paying, according to Floyd, they weren't paying attention to what the governing body had to say. And in fact, my dad has made the statement to me that he never really believed that, he didn't seem to have been too disturbed by 1975 and the lack of 1975 coming about. But he was a workaholic, so I can believe that. He was probably more focused on work than on end times and Bible prophecy. But he's a faithful Jehovah's Witness now, and very astute, a diligent Bible reader, and has a very sharp mind.